Hope everyone is doing really well this evening. It was very much fun putting this PowerPoint presentation together on seated and supine postures. So luckily I have a very good friend who is a pretty fantastic photographer. So as we go through, you'll notice not so much that I'm photogenic, but that I have a friend who's a very good photographer. So yes, so I guess we will just get into it. Obviously, first of all, I just want to give pranams to my teacher, Kathy McNames, and her teachers. And would like to just say once again that I'm very grateful to be here sharing the beautiful practice of yoga with all of you. We'll go into the first seated posture. So of course, after we do standing postures, we need to move into seated postures. So there's sort of like a sequence that you go through, and the more that you teach, the more you practice and the more that you teach, you'll feel this flow. It will just sort of flow naturally, and you'll sort of figure out how to get from your standing postures down smoothly into seated postures. And I'm just, I picked approximately 19 or 20 postures that I feel are, on the basic level postures that anyone at any level of yoga practitioner could successfully do these postures. Of course, there are many, many, many other seated and supine postures, but this is just a handful of them that I felt spoke to, yoga teacher training program to be able to teach you all how to be able to teach these basic postures to, sort of any level of student. So first we have Baddha Konasana, which means bound angle posture. So as you can see, you're seated. It's really important to really ground down through your root. And you sort of clasp the fingertips underneath the outsides of the feet. And it's really important that you sit up really, really tall and reach up to the crown of your head. Just to really lengthen the spine and also to open up that channel running through your spine, which is Sushumna, which I think we've spoken about before, just so that the energy can flow really, really well. And then also not shown in this picture, with this bound angle posture actually is that you fold forward. So, and something that's really important when you are doing folding forward postures is that rather than just folding forward and allowing your back to just sort of collapse, if you will, or it just the back becoming very rounded, you sort of want to think of physics. So you're coming from the, think of the hips as your pivot point, and you're you're coming forward with your spine completely straight. So it's like your heart is coming forward. I always say pull your heart toward your toes, because it sort of feels like your heart is coming down toward your toes. And if you try that, you can sort of feel the difference rather than just like allowing the top half of your body to collapse forward. Okay. And if there are questions at any time during this, please just write them in the chat box. Okay, next posture is Dandasana, which is staff posture. It really doesn't look like much is happening here. However, there's a lot happening, and if you actually held this posture for about 20 minutes, you'd be breaking out in a cold sweat all over your body. So the hands are planted just behind the hips. So arms are activated, and what you're actually doing here is you are peeling the shoulders back. You're peeling your shoulder blades back toward your spine. Okay, and you're really reaching up through the crown of your head, ground down through your root. Your legs are both extended, feet are flexed, and your feet are flexed so much that your legs are engaged. The muscles of your legs are engaged, okay, and you might even be engaging your legs so much that your heels might just lift ever so slightly up off of your mat. So this is sort of like an engagement of all parts of your body, even though it looks like I'm just sitting there. So, next, we have Paschimottanasana, head to shin forward fold. So again, the first fold forward I was trained in the Ashtanga lineage, so we're toe grabbers. So middle and index fingers grabbing up the inside of the big toes, and then thumb is coming around to meet middle and index fingers. Really important that middle and index finger and the thumb make that contact, just to sort of close that mudra. And then obviously another option is to grab sides of feet, okay? And so again, when you're folding forward, you're coming from, imagine your hips as the pivot point. You are keeping spine straight, grounding down through your root, and you are slowly pulling yourself forward. It's almost, again, keeping your head up at first. You're sort of like pulling your heart toward your toes, like I said, so, and your spine stays completely flat as you sort of go down. And you go down and down and down, and rather than simply just allowing the top half of your body to collapse over. And you'll find that over time, the backs of the legs open up enough that your belly actually is resting on the tops of your legs, and you start to come closer and closer and closer. I've seen some people's heads very close to their feet actually in this posture, so you would be surprised how pliable the body is, how flexible the body is. Okay, this one, Janu Shirsasana, head, knee to head posture. So it's basically, it's a forward fold, but this time you have right here, I have the sole of my right foot into the inside of my left thigh. Okay, so the left leg is extended, left foot is flexed, left foot is the one that's facing toward you on the screen, and you really want to square off your hips over that extended leg, the left leg in this photo. So you really want to, our bodies have a tendency to sort of pivot in the direction of that leg that's bent, so you want to really center yourself, square your hips off over that extended leg. Okay, and then again, from the pivot point of the hips, again, pulling heart toward toes. So you pull yourself down to a certain point, get as far as you can, and you can sort of relax your neck and allow the forehead to come down toward your knee or shin. Marichyasana A. I was taught Marichyasana A, B, C, D. I think for the purposes of this lecture, I'm just teaching A and D. Marichyasana means the son of Brahma. Okay, so again, we've got an extended left leg here. You can see the left foot is flexed. It's almost as if your toes are even, your foot's flexed so much that your toes are pointing back toward your face. Okay, and for this posture, I have my right foot planted and right knee up. And it's actually further away from your body than you would think. So normally, you know, if you would, in toward the center of your line, you actually want to wiggle the right foot out a little bit more in order to get your right shoulder on the inside of that right knee. And so you sort of come forward as far as you can, and then you wrap the right arm around. This is more, I mean, it's technically an intermediate, it's still beginner intermediate posture, okay? So the whole idea here is to really be opening up the shoulder. So sometimes you even hear your shoulder pop, okay? It's like snap, crackle, pop in class when we do this. And then left arm comes around, as you can see. And what you would always want to do, or what I was taught, is that the arm that is bound around the knee, that hand is going to grab the wrist of the arm that is reaching behind, okay? And then, of course, forehead is coming down toward knee or shin. You can almost see my scapula, my shoulder blade. You can almost see how it's pulling it, it's stretching it. So you can feel a stretch in your shoulder when you do this. This is Marichyasana D. So this twist can be done. C would be right leg extended, but D is with the right leg bent in, left leg is over, and then we take the right arm to the outside of that left knee, okay? And you can just bring the left fingertips behind, take your gaze over your left shoulder. So you do not have to bring the left arm all the way around like in this photo. You can actually just bring your left palm or your left fingertips behind and just take your gaze over your left shoulder. Just feel yourself, top half of your body twisting the opposite direction of the bottom half of your body. Again, really important to really ground down through your seat and to lift up through the crown of your head. There's always this invisible string coming up out of your crown. It's really lifting you up and allowing you to have a really tall spine. Okay. Upavishta Konasana, seated wide leg. Again, very, very important to keep feet flexed. And as you fold forward, you can simply you can use blocks, you can simply, you can rest on the palms of your hands, you can come down onto your forearms. If you are extremely flexible, you might be able to bring your forehead all the way down to your mat. Wherever you are, at any point in your practice, just always remind yourself that it's completely perfect. You are perfect. Wherever you are. I always try to tell my students that wherever you are, you're perfect. Don't worry about it, and don't worry about what other people look on their mat, because everyone is at a different, operating at a different level of consciousness, and there's a different level in their journey with their practice of yoga. So obviously you feel a pretty big stretch in the groin area here. And you can sort of also in this posture play around with your pelvic tilt. You can sort of, before you start to fold forward, you can play around with your pelvic tilt in your seat and kind of just feel how if you shift it forward, it helps you come forward. And then we have Navasana, which is boat pose. So, I mean, if any of you have ever tried this before, I'm sure most of you have, Navasana is actually more difficult than it looks. It's actually fairly difficult to find that perfect pivot point on your seat. Again, it's sort of coming into this realm of physics almost. You find almost like you're on a teeter-totter. And it is really important that when you are reaching forward, is that you are really lifting up with your heart. Don't allow your, chin to collapse in towards your chest. You really want to be lifting up. And also I would like to point out that it is not imperative that your legs are straight in this Navasana posture. It's very, very common to have knees bent and the calves would be parallel to your mat. That's also completely acceptable, and you are still getting the benefits of the posture by doing that. Okay, Ubaya Padangustasana, both feet, big toe posture. So again, middle index fingers are grabbing up the big toes. Thumb is coming around to meet middle and index finger. Again, very important that those fingers meet just to close that mudra. Also, legs are straight here. You never really want to necessarily lock out your knees, but legs are straight. And you are, again, finding that balance point on your seat that you were trying to find in Navasana, in your boat pose. And I was always taught to take the drishti or the gaze up. And the next posture after this would be grabbing sides of feet and actually pulling forehead towards shin, still on that pivot point of your seat. I don't have a photo of that. Does anyone have any questions? No questions? Supta Padangustasana, supine big toe posture. So, so if you we're doing seated and supine postures, but you'll notice a pattern with the Sanskrit. For example, with the Padangustasana, so sort of same thing as when we're standing. Just imagine that this is a standing posture, that I'm standing on that extended right leg, for example, and then your left leg is being lifted up. Just now we have it in the supine. We've just added the supta to it. So right leg is extended here. I'm going to leave your head on the mat. Right foot needs to stay flexed. Reason for that is if you see a foot that's kind of limp, you'll notice immediately that if you flex that foot of the extended leg, you'll feel the muscles in your extended leg activate, and that helps keep that right leg grounded down on your mat rather than lifting up. Just sort of helps to create some stability. So then, of course, we have the left leg, middle and index finger grabbing at the big toe of that left foot, thumbs coming around to meet middle and index finger, and you are resting your right hand on top of right thigh. Also just to help keep that right leg down, because as you're pulling your left leg up, your right leg and right hip also try to come up. So you sort of just pull it as far as feels comfortable. And you feel a stretch in the back of the leg. So Ardha Pavana Muktasana, half wind relieving pose. Again, you'll notice a theme. So feet are always staying flexed. So both feet are flexed. And just gently, I'm gently hugging right knee in toward chest, pretty much as far as it will go, without straining. And the whole idea of all these postures anyway is to sort of take it to a level where you are feeling a stretch, you are, enjoying being in your body, but that it's not painful. Okay, now we have Supta Matsyendrasana, which is knee down twist. So you can move into this from the last posture, the half wind relieving pose, where we already had our knee. So if I had done this, I would do the half wind relieving posture on the left side with the left knee in toward chest, and then you can just gently draw that left knee across your center line, gently over toward the other side. So the trick is to keep both shoulder blades on the mat as you do that. And you can extend that left arm just to sort of create some balance on right and left side of the body, so that the whole one side of your body doesn't roll over completely. And that also helps keep those shoulder blades on your mat. And typically you will take your gaze, even if your eyes are closed, you'll take your gaze toward the opposite direction that the knee is twisting. And the next one is Setu Bandhasana, which is bridge posture. Of course, you've probably seen people do full wheel back bends. This is sort of a gentle way to ease into opening up the lower back. So basically both feet planted, knees are directly above ankles. You start to sort of walk your shoulders underneath yourself and start to lift up the hips toward the sky, and just go until you feel, everybody's got different flexibility. My low back actually doesn't have the best flexibility. I've been practicing for 10 years, and I just think I'll always be one of those people who can probably not get into full scorpion or any really crazy back bend. So I just always try to be really gentle with my low back. And this posture can be taught to all levels, and especially beginners. So I just find it helpful to clasp the fingertips underneath, and then also once you do that, it kind of helps to sort of walk your shoulders up underneath yourself. You can even come up onto the toes if you want a little bit more. You want a little bit more height if you'd like to get more bend in that low back. And Supta Kapottanasana, supine pigeon. So a lot of you probably have done or have seen pigeon the other way. So it might start to make sense why this one is called supine pigeon. You can probably see, and also if you do it, you can feel you're getting a similar stretch in the hip flexors that you do when you're doing pigeon, when you're not supine. So I really like this one. It's really nice for the end of class. you know, after, it's nice as just a cool down. Your muscles have warmed up, and so it's nice to sort of be able to just lay on your back, so you're sort of in a resting posture, at the same time you're getting a nice deep stretch, and you can hold this for a little bit longer than, say, you would normal stretches without straining yourself. So as you can see, you basically would be resting left ankle on top of right knee. You can put the ankle a little bit past the knee. Obviously, if you have a really bony ankle, you don't put bone on bone. You know, that just, you know, is sort of common sense. And then, of course, you're going to clasp fingers behind the opposite leg and just gently start to pull in toward your chest until you feel a stretch in this case, it's the left hip flexor, because I have my left leg crossed across my right knee. So you feel a stretch in your left hip flexor, similar to if I was doing pigeon while sitting up. Parvana Muktasana, wind relieving pose. So remember earlier we did the half wind relieving pose, so this is full wind relieving pose. So of course you've got both knees into chest. And to do this, you can actually grab both knees, or I often really like to wrap my arms around and actually grab opposite elbows on top of the knees. It just really helps hug the knees in even more. And sometimes even you can pull your forehead in toward your knees and sort of just curl into a little ball. It feels really nice. You can rock side to side here. I often have my students just sort of gently rock side to side on their mat, just give their spine a little massage while we're hugging knees into chest. It just feels really gentle and comforting, and who doesn't like a massage on their back? So one of my favorites, Ananda, which means bliss, Balasana, so happy baby, blissful baby. So the idea here is we are grabbing outside the feet, and we are pulling our knees down in toward underarms. So we're sort of coming to the outside of our arms, if you see. So my knees are on the outside of the arms versus, say, inside of the arms. And you could tell immediately that you weren't doing it correctly if your knees were on the inside of your arms. Yeah, also should be really, really, really gentle. Sometimes it feels good to sort of rock side to side in your happy baby, or extend one leg, like extend the right leg all the way out while you're holding your left foot, extend left leg all the way up while you're holding your right foot, and just kind of going back and forth like that. Feels, those sort of deep stretches feel really good as well, especially at the end of class. Supta Baddha Konasana. So remember the very first posture we shared was Baddha Konasana. So this is essentially the same posture, except we're supine. So Supta means supine. So the soles of the feet are together, the knees are out wide. You can rest your arms at the side. I often tell students they can bring their right hand to low belly, left hand to heart. Or you can rest your hands on the insides of the thighs if you want to just have a little bit of, just if you're trying to open up your hips a little bit more. In the studio where I trained, we had small sandbags, really small little cloth bags full of sand. And if you wanted an even deeper stretch, you could put small sandbag on each side, just to sort of help open you up a little bit more. And this is like more of like a restorative posture. You know, you can hold it for a couple of minutes at the end of class. And just sort of prepare yourself to go into your Shavasana. And then we have our Shavasana, corpse pose. You know, obviously it doesn't look like anything's really happening when we're in Shavasana. And I've seen some pretty funny t-shirts that say things like, I'm just here for the Shavasana. And I always, you know, it is funny, and I'm always sort of wondering exactly what they're meaning, or if they're just meaning, and I was thinking, yeah, well, I mean, the whole, you know, some of the biggest our most well-known yogi masters will tell you that Shavasana is one of the most important postures. So I'm like, well, of course, that's what you should have came for. But because a lot is happening in Shavasana. It appears that we are just lying there, but in fact, it is one of the postures in which we can totally and completely reach places of, our being that we might not be totally connected with or have been connected with during the rest of our asana practice. So it's sort of like a culmination, consider a class potentially 45 minutes, an hour, hour 15, however long the class is. And then after all that energy, all of that, when you've been combining movement with breath for that much time, when you go into Shavasana, if you've stayed connected with your breath the whole time and allowed your mind to be clear, Shavasana meditation script. Can you tell me what you mean by that? Do you mean prescription? Okay, so for example, I don't know where everyone is right now or where everyone is logging into this class, but perhaps if you are able to lie down on the couch, on the floor, on your mat, if you're not able to, that's fine. I'm just going to sort of move through a meditation, so you can do it in Shavasana or not. So usually when I am ending class, I will do 10 or 15 minutes of Shavasana, and I'll start it out with a guided meditation and sort of allow students to completely drift into, that space of stillness. So what I'd like you to do, I hope we're all being in a comfortable spot, and just allow your eyelids to be heavy. And allow yourself to tuck your shoulders under just a little bit. And tuck your chin slightly. You're lying on your back. And arms can be at sides, or right hand can be to low belly, left hand to heart. And we'll just go ahead and allow our entire body to relax. Notice all the points of contact your body's making with your mat or whatever surface you're lying on. And allow yourself to feel completely supported. Allow yourself to connect with breath. Breathe naturally in and out through your nose. And start to allow the breath to be more and more shallow with each round of breath. And with each round of breath, imagine, if you will, yourself pulling away one layer at a time, like an onion or petals of a flower that's blooming. And allow yourself to gently peel away each layer. The text say that there are 7 layers. We'll move through with each round of breath going into our innermost layer. Allowing yourself to become more and more calm, more still, the deeper that we go. And when you come into that innermost layer, you'll find yourself in a space of vastness. In Sanskrit, it's called sunyata, which, to my understanding, translates to emptiness. It's where the true self resides, the Atma. It's a place of complete contentment. Infinite possibilities, infinite galaxies, universes. And allow yourself to be suspended there in that space, in that open space. Feeling completely at ease. If your mind starts to wander, it's okay. Just imagine that any thoughts coming in are like clouds in the sky, and simply watch them float away. And remind yourself there's nothing to do or undo right now, except be completely present with your breath. Don't allow yourself to be concerned with any moment that might be happening at any point in the future, or anything you might be anticipating that might happen, or has happened, or any worries that you might have. Allow yourself the freedom, or as the Buddha said, think nothing, like a piece of wood. I'd like you to take your attention to your breath. Inhale through your nose and be aware of the breath as it fills your lungs. Feel your belly rise, chest expand, ribs expand, lungs fill. And then allow yourself to slowly exhale. So keep moving through these rounds of breath. Inhaling in through the nose. Take about 4 or 5 seconds to fill the lungs all the way up. And as you exhale, take about the same amount of time to empty your lungs completely. On the next inhale, inhaling in, elongate your inhalation. Take 6 or 7 seconds to fill the lungs all the way up. Feel yourself bringing in all that nutrient-rich oxygen. And take about the same amount of time to empty the lungs completely. You'll start to notice that the back of the body will begin to feel a gentle warmth on whatever surface that you're lying. Allow the sensation to rise through the front of the body. Allow your face to soften, the front of the neck and throat and chest. Soften the tops of the shoulders, the arms, all the way to the tips of your fingers. Relax the rib cage and the area of your heart. And soften the abdomen as it rises and falls with the breath. Feel the tops of the thighs soften. And relax your attention. And allow it to flow all the way down to the tips of the toes. And then move it up, all the way up to the crown of your head. Imagine every single muscle in your body relaxing. Allow every single thing that might come as a worry, anything from normal chaotic life, allow yourself to be completely free from it. Now I'd like you to imagine a glowing ball of white, bright, warm light at the base of your spine. At your root, Muladhara chakra. And with each inhale, I'd like you to imagine drawing up or pulling up that glowing ball of white, bright, warm light, 1 inch or 1 vertebra at a time. Just breathing naturally in and out through your nose. Allowing that glowing ball of bright, white, warm light as it moves up. to clear out any blockages that there might be in that channel in your spinal column. And allow that glowing ball of white, bright, warm light to come all the way up the spine, past the neck, and exit through the crown of your head. Relax all the little muscles in your face, little muscles around the mouth, around the eyes, and the forehead, and the scalp. And allow yourself to be in that space of complete stillness, contentment, ananda, bliss. Breaths are shallow. Mind is completely clear. We'll continue this for a couple of minutes in silence. You can start to wiggle your fingers and toes. Start to deepen your breath. Bring awareness back into your body. Perhaps draw knees into chest. And then roll to one side or the other, whichever is calling to you. And then ever so slowly, you can start to make your way up to a comfortable seated position. Just crossing at the ankles. To cross now, allow your eyelids to continue to be heavy. And we'll gently draw the palms to meet in front of heart center. Allow a little bit of space between the palms. Allow the chin to tuck slightly. Take a moment to give yourself gratitude for this time to be sharing together and to practice. I honor the place in you in which the entire universe dwells. I honor the place in you which is of love, of light, of peace, and of truth. When you are in that place in you, and I am in that place in me, we are one. May you all be filled with loving kindness. May you all be peaceful and at ease. May you all be well. May you all know happiness, the roots of happiness, and be free from suffering. The light in me sees and honors the light in each and every one of you. Namaste. So homework is going to be to prepare a Shavasana meditation script. So over time, you'll sort of come up with a script that resonates with you. Words will start flowing through you that resonate with you. And so the homework is to prepare a meditation script for leading Shavasana, and it will be presented in our next Saturday session, April 24th, assuming that's in person. Does anyone have any questions whatsoever about any of the postures that we've gone over today, any of the seated supine postures, any clarification that was needed, anything that I did not describe clearly? Okay, all right. Well, thank you very much. If no one has any questions, I really appreciate you allowing me to share yoga with you. Yeah, I hope everyone has a really beautiful evening and weekend. Good night. Namaste.